Hi everyone, welcome back to Earl Grey Books. I'm Ellie and today I'm going to be doing my Owls wrap up. So I did really well. I managed to get through all of the books on my TBR, though it did require a little bit of reshuffling. I chose as my career to be a mind medic, which meant I had to take ancient runes, arithmancy, charms, defense against the dark arts, herbology, muggle studies, potion and transfiguration. So I'm really proud that I managed to get through books for all of them, though as I mentioned I had to do a bit of reshuffling. And we're just going to start talking about them now. So I'm going to go through alphabetical order of the subjects rather than the order that I read the books in, just because I can't super remember the order right now. So let's go by exam. So first one was Ancient Runes. So I read Percy Jackson's Greek Gods by Read-a-thon. There are many books on this list that were not on my original TBR. I'm just really bad at sticking to TBRs. I'm definitely a mood reader. So I ended up using this one as my Ancient Runes, which was a retelling. So this is a retelling of Greek myths. I really enjoyed this one. I always loved a bit of Percy Jackson, so this was a nice quick read. Next class is Arithmancy, which is a book by 2 or more authors. This might be kind of a cheat. I picked Bloom, which is by Kevin Panetta and Savannah Ganusho. I can't say these names, I'm so sorry. This is a beautiful LGBTQ plus graphic novel. It's all blue and it's so pretty. It's also just like super cute. It's about like soft boys who bake and fall in love with each other. Like that, it's so sweet. So yes, this is technically by 2 people. One is the illustrator, but I'm counting it as my book because I really struggled with this one. I tried to read, originally on my TBR was Obsidio, but I just wasn't in the mood for it. And then I tried to read Growing Up African in Australia, which is an anthology. And I was really enjoying that, but it's one of those books that you really have to take your time with, and I was just sort of running out of time and I didn't want to stress myself out and end up not enjoying it. So the next one I have is Charms, which is to read an adult book, which I could have done many times over, but the one I decided to pick was Queenie by Candice Carty-Williams. I did not enjoy this book. I gave it 2 stars. It just wasn't for me. I just did not gel well with the character of Queenie. I'll link my full review down below if you're interested. But it was not one for me. Next class is Defense Against the Dark Arts, which was to read a book starting with R. I went with The Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien. This was originally going to be my potions book, but I decided to switch it out because, again, I was running out of time and I couldn't find another book with R in the title. I had originally planned to read Revolution by Jennifer Donnelly, but I started it and read the first chapter and didn't like it at all. So ended up using this one. I love this series. I love Tolkien's writing. I know a lot of people say that he does too much description and blah blah blah, but I really like that. And they always just make me so happy. So I finally finished the series and I'm excited to go on and read some of his other works now. Next class is Herbology, which was to read a book with I think it was like plants on the cover or something like that. So I went with The Murder on the Links by Agatha Christie, which has some trees. Yeah, it's a stretch, but that's what we're going with. This was originally my Charms book, and then I had The Good People as my herbology book, which also has a tree on the cover. I started reading that one, and again, it's just one that I feel is better suited to not being part of a read-a-thon. I feel like it's one that you really need to pay attention to and read through slowly. So I went with this one. Love me some Agatha Christie. Great Aunt Agatha. And yeah, I really like this one. It was different. I just absolutely love it when Poirot and Hastings are together. I just find them hilarious. They have such good bands. So yeah, I enjoyed this one. Next class is Muggle Studies, which was to read a contemporary book. I went with The Poet X by Elizabeth A. Speedo. This is told in verse. The main character does slam poetry. This one was incredible. I absolutely loved it. I cried. I just felt a lot of emotions, all of the emotions all at once, and it was very beautiful. Next one is Potions, which was to read a sequel. I went with Wondersmith, The Calling of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is the sequel to Nevermore, which is one of my favourite books. I possibly loved this one just a little bit more. Which I know rarely happens with sequels, but this one is just so good, and I just love this world so much, and the characters are brilliant. So if you haven't read this series, it's kind of a middle grade fantasy. It's kind of like a mix between like a little bit of Harry Potter, a little bit of like Alice in Wonderland, and a bit of like Series of Unfortunate Events. And it's incredible, and it's probably one of my favourite series. And dare I say it, I said this in my full review, which I'll link below, I think this is better than Harry Potter. I'm just saying, I think it is. So, if you haven't got to this one yet, you should, because it's amazing. And then my final book for Transfiguration was to read a book with a red cover, and I decided for this one to go with The Strays by Emily Bitto. This is part of my Stellar Project reads, which I will link a video for below as well. I loved this one. It was incredible. It's set in sort of the like 30s, 40s in Melbourne, and it's talking about the sort of like modern art circle. It is fiction, but is based on true events, but with like all the characters are fictionalized. There's no one real in it, but it is based on things that really happened. This was so good. So I will talk a little bit more about it. I'm planning to do another video on the Stellar Project once I've read a couple of the books. So I will talk about it at length at a later date. But I'll also link my full review down below if you're interested in checking that out as well. So those are the books that I read for Owls. Really proud of myself for getting through all of them. I had a really great time, and I can't wait for the newts to come around. I think it's in August. It seems so long away, but I'm super excited, and I will speak to you all in a few days' time with my just general wrap up for the month with all the books that I didn't read for Owls. So I'll see you all then. Bye.